at center, number 54, Ben Wilson. And number 21 at center, Fort Crump. Starting lineup for the Frankford Pioneers. Jason Woodley. And center, number 32, Byron Woodley. Number 11, guard, Nate Emmons. Number 15, a guard, Rodney Roach.
news for Villanova. Villanova may be playing some important games at this point in the season, with wins really important for a possible NCAA berth. Now, tonight, Nova played a close one against Syracuse. For those pictures, let's go to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Good early for Villanova. They took the lead. The rebound right here by Grice. They led by as many as 6 points in the first half. Gary Messi with the dunk. Villanova up by 6. Syracuse comes back and led by 2 at the end of the half. Steve Thompson with the drive and the hoop. They led it 39-37. Villanova again mounts a comeback and takes the lead. Rodney Taylor with the shot. Tom Grice with the follow. Villanova up 56-54. Go get them rolling. All right. Villanova still leads. But Syracuse starts the comeback. Good play by Douglas. Now, with Syracuse up by 2 points left, seconds left, Syracuse misses the front end of the one-on-one. Villanova a chance to tie, or with a three-pointer, a win. Kenny Wilson loses control. Villanova really never gets a good shot off, and they lose it tonight, 71-69. Yes, it was that close. Penn lost another close one tonight in the Ivy. This one against Princeton. The score there, 67-65. Some awards tonight for LaSalle's basketball team. Speedy Morris is named the MAC Coach of the Year, and Lionel Simmons is the MAC Conference Player of the Year. All right, if the Sixers look at the standings, they will see what would have been very hard to believe at the beginning of this season. The Sixers and the Knicks are fighting for the last playoff berth. Many games left, but that's unbelievable. Tonight, the Knicks played Indiana. For those pictures, let's go to New York's Madison Square Garden. All right, Knicks up by 3. John Long ties it up with the three-pointer. Indiana ties the game. Mark Jackson, the rookie, who has really started to play well for actually after about a quarter of the season. Jackson with the shot at the buzzer. That's right, Knicks win it, 98-96. Other games, Atlanta a loser to Detroit despite Dominique Wilkins' 50 points. New Jersey and Willis Reed's debut, 104-75 over the Clippers. Boston a loser, actually losing to Milwaukee by 9 in the fourth. And San Antonio trails Phoenix by 2. That's in the fourth. 2 games are late. Flyers made an interesting trade tonight. Remember that score the Flyers got from Hartford? He's now a Vancouver Canuck. Paul Lawless was brought here to add scoring punch for the Flyers, but was traded tonight to Vancouver. He didn't play much. Bob Clark told me tonight that Lawless was acquired really because Lindsey Carson wanted to go. So that was the trade. All right, the Flyers received from Vancouver former New York Ranger and former Detroit Red Wing defenseman Willie Huber. Flyers like his size. He is 6'5". All right, tonight in the National Hockey League, Flyers just about to get underway at Vancouver. Washington over New Jersey 5-3. The Islanders lead St. Louis in the third. Detroit leads Buffalo in the third. Pittsburgh leading Minnesota in the third. Mario Lemieux, his 56th goal of the season. Winnipeg leads Hartford 4-2 in the second. In a game that's just started, Wayne Gretzky and Edmonton have scored. He had an assist on the goal. He is now the all-time assist leader in 9 seasons in what Gordie Howe did in 20-some seasons. That is unbelievable. Baseball Hall of Fame Veterans Committee got together today to vote on 29 candidates for induction to the Hall of Fame. 18 of the 20-member panel met for 4.5 hours in Tampa and voted no one, not anyone, into the Hall. Now, the one that the Phillies fans were concerned with was Richie Ashburn. This was Ashburn's first year on the Vets Committee ballot. Players or umpire Al Barlick needed at least 14 votes, and nobody received more than 12. Phil Rizzuto also missed getting voted into the Hall by the veterans. Channel 29 Daily News Top 15 poll. This week, really no changes except for the last 3 spots, but that will change. I'll tell you about that later. Before I explain, let's take a look at this week's rankings. Number 1, Ben Franklin. That won't stay that way. West Philadelphia 2, Frankfort, Camden, Chester. Second 5, also the same as last week. You see them right there, Abington, Atlantic City, Conestoga, Cherry Hill West, and Norristown. All right, the bottom 5, North Catholic Eastern, new to the top 15 this week, Monsignor Bonner, Episcopal Academy, and Willingboro. Now, there will be a change next week in the poll because number 1 lost this afternoon in the Public League playoffs. Franklin played Frankfort. For those pictures, let's go to Southern High. Frankfort beat Franklin for the 2nd time this year. Franklin's Randy Woods. Now, Franklin led this game 68-66, and then Frankfort, as Jamie Ross scored 25, scored the last 16 points of the game. They win it 82-68. Jamie Ross talked about the 16-0 stretch at the end.
One thing we started doing was turning the ball over and getting bad shots. The coach started to get on the board and start taking good shots, and that's all we did and just controlled the ball. And we came out a winner.
All right, let's go to Simon Gratz for the West Philadelphia Southern game. Speedy Morris there looking at some players, hopefully to go to LaSalle next season. And West Philadelphia wins this game 79-76 as Mick Kilgore will score. He had 30. West Philadelphia wins it. The score there, 79-76. And the championship will be Sunday, but obviously some interesting games today.
Run that by me again. Frankfurt's down by 2 and wins
Down
by
by
16.
2. The other team scores no points for the last few minutes. I don't know exactly how many. And Frankfort scores 16 the last 16 points of the game.
Wow.
That's really winning
That's
the
some
game.
comeback. That might be a record.
That's the second time the only 2 losses Franklin has this year are to Frankfort. So obviously Frankfort to move up at West Philadelphia, I would say right now probably be number 1.
All right. Thank you very much, Howard. That's our news for this Tuesday. For Howard Marie and the entire 10 o'clock news team, thank you for joining us. I'm Lee McCarthy. Good night.
Duke should not be. They're a big favorite. Here's some highlights. Duquesne was up 5-0, but Mark Macon comes to life. Right now it is Temple leading 14-12. Don Tollefson is at the tournament. We'll have a full report coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. There's Macon again. One final in. West Virginia beat the Bonnies of St. Bonaventure. In the ECC, Lehigh over Lafayette. They'll play Towson State for the title on Tuesday as Rider lost today. Also today, Duke downs North Carolina. Illinois crushed Iowa, as you saw right here on Channel 6. A big game for the Big East regular season championship. Pitt at Syracuse. Here comes the Orange. Once down by 14, but then Steve Thompson will slam on the break from Cycli. Syracuse making it a ball game. It's close when Jerome Lane, who had 29 points, drives the lane. That's Bobby Martin of Atlantic City injured. He was okay, but here comes Lane for 2. And Pitt will hold on to win 85-84. They take the Big East regular season title. With the tournament set for later on this week, Syracuse could not get the last shot. Of some very good basketball in the Big East to an ugly scene last night also in the Big East. St. John's at Providence. It is a basketball brawl. The worst of it, St. John's sophomore Jason Williams. You don't see it here. He throws a chair into the crowd, and for that he was arrested last night, charged with assault with a dangerous weapon. He had to post bail to get out of town. Ugly scene. For the Sixers, it is no longer ugly. Victory at last on the road. They lost 20 in a row going into today's ball game. It wasn't easy today. Charles Barkley hurt his arm. Remember, he was knocked out on Friday. Well, he bounces back from all these injuries. He scored 29 points, 16 rebounds. John Long almost tied it up at the end, but it wasn't long enough. A 2-point shot here for John instead of 3. Sixers lead by 1. And Barkley is praying a little bit. Please, let's do it. Albert King will hit a couple of clutch free throws. Sixers win 105-100. They can come home winners tomorrow to face the Lakers. Today, Boston crushed Cleveland. Lakers come up big, deep in the heart of Texas. The Sixers finally win on the road, but the Flyers lose their 3rd in a row on the road, ending up their trip. Today at New Jersey, first period, Don Knockbauer versus Brendan Shanahan. Heavyweight fight. Devils lead it 1-0. The Flyers come back. Murray Craven right here ties it at 1. Then the go-ahead unassisted goal by Peter Zezel. It is 2-1 after 2 in the hockey game, but trouble because it's tied at 2, and Craig Willanen will score from 50 feet right here, beating Ron Hextall. Patrick Sundstrom added another one. Flyers lose 4-2. Without Howe, Poulin, Ekman, and Sutter and Tocchet, and that's a big reason why they lost. They're now in second place because Washington wins 7-2. Islanders blank Quebec 2-0. Exhibition baseball. Phillies lost to Toronto, but some good signs for 3 players. First of all, starting pitcher Kevin Gross. Unlike last spring when he had all those back problems, today he went 3 perfect innings. Also, Shane Turner playing shortstop. He had a couple of great moves, making a strong case to replace Steve Jeltz. Look at this right here for Shane Turner. Deep in the hole. Yeah, Joe Cowley was superb today. No control trouble for him. He went 2 strong innings. At one point, he retired 6 in a row. I don't think he retired 6 at all last year. Cowley doing all right. And finally, a game to be talked about for years because it seemed to last that long today. A title game for the Philadelphia Public League Championship. Frankfort versus West Philadelphia. Here comes Corey Lewis for Frankfort, putting up the Pioneers by 2, but then comes number 30 for West Philadelphia, Eric Williams. He's going to drive to try to send it into a second overtime, and he does. This game was crazy. Tied at 49 after 1 overtime. But there's more. Hang on here. Second overtime. Kevin Newton for 3 for Frankfort. help them send it into a third overtime. Then it's Jeff Eek off the bench for Frankfort, a big steal to send it into a fourth overtime. Then West Philadelphia could not hit their shots in the fourth. Frankfort will finally win 71-64. Jason Worley led them with 22 points. But Frankfort says we won this ball game for our coach right here, Vince Miller, who's in tears afterwards.
How do you feel for your coach?
Well, mainly I wanted to win it for him, and we really dedicated the season to his father, as his father passed away like the beginning of the playoffs, so we really dedicated the season to him. And we just went out and worked hard, and we won. We could have played 3 men. We could have played 3 men, and we still would have came out the victory if it went 20 overtime. But we knock out all bombs. Knock out all bombs. We're number one.
Could have gone 4, he said. Could have gone 20. Could have gone whatever. But Frankfort says they're not going to be denied. They're on top of the world in public high school basketball. What a story for their coach and the father who just died. Really marvelous, emotional day.
And a great game, too.
Oh, it was.
Show you, this game's in progress. It's still going on, but Mark's making. I'm going to stop calling him a freshman. He should be a senior. Look at him. He has 11 points so far. We're midway through the first half. 11 points for Macon. Tim Perry doing everything. Look at him muscle down the rebound, putting it up and in. Temple, and there's John Chaney with his lucky sweater on. We'll go to the scoreboard. Temple is leading now, midway through the first, and it is 33-17 Temple, no problem with Duquesne. West Virginia has beaten St. Bonaventure 57-40. That's the final. High school basketball, what a game for the City Public League Championship. A classic at McGonigal. Watch this. West Philly and Frankfort. Frankfort in white. Jason Warley scored 24. Bangs it home right there. It was 46-44. West Philly had the lead. Frankfurt's Jamie Ross pops. We're going to overtime. First overtime. West Philly's Eric Williams drives in traffic. He tied it. 49-44. 49-49. We go to a second overtime. Frankfurt's Kevin Newton. Pressure. 3 points. Yes. West Philly's Mick Kilgore. 3 points. Yes. 54-54. This game went to 4 overtimes. 4. 2:20 to go. Jason Worley muscles the rebound. Look at him fight for it. He's got it, put it up, and in. That gave Frankfort the lead for good. Frankfort wins in 4 overtimes, 71-64. This was an emotional and important win for Coach Vince Miller.
I feel really emotional. A lot of people know I lost my father, and this was a win for my father, and the kids played well.
What a game. Again, Frankfort wins the city title 71-64 over West Philly. Back to college ball, although that looked like college ball to me. LaSalle
By 40 and by 39 during the regular season. Temple beat Duquesne by 20 today in the Atlantic 10 tournament, 77-57 the final. The only thing surprising about the game was that Duquesne took a 5-0 lead, but John Chaney had absolutely nothing to worry about. It really was a rout. It was 12 up. Mark Macon misses, and Tim Perry, who had 16 points, the follow-up slam. Temple on their way with a magnificent spurt. Howie Evans, the steal, gets it to Macon. The Owls off and running, a 17-2 explosion. Mike Vrieswick had 20 points. This is his 3rd three-pointer during the run. Vrieswick. And then Macon, who had 15 points in the first half, 28 for the game, puts the Owls up 29-14 to complete the spurt. At the half, it was 38-25. The Owls really hooting. In the second half, making the steal on the jam, puts Temple up 23, 60-37. They win by 20, 77-57. Also today in the Atlantic 10, West Virginia beat St. Bonaventure 57-40. The Big East regular season ended today with Pitt beating Syracuse. In the tournament, Villanova will play St. John's. Big East tourney Friday night at 9 in New York. Pitt, by beating Syracuse in Syracuse, won the regular season title 85-84 the final. Pitt by 14. 59-45 second half. Demetrius scored plus the foul. Syracuse battled back. They tied it twice. Now down 3. Final second. Sherman Douglas misses a 3. Then Earl Duncan will miss a 3. And I have a question for Stevie Thompson. Why throw the ball inside to Derek Brower for 2 at the buzzer? 2 doesn't do it. Jim Boeheim knew that. 85-84. Pitt wins it. We need 3. Now, if Villanova beats St. John's, it's likely they would play Pitt Saturday so that Rolly Massimino-Paul Evans feud can continue. Meanwhile, East Coast Conference Tournament, Lehigh beat Lafayette 67-65. Mike Palaha, 35 points. Darren Queenan had 18, and Queenan became the all-time ECC scoring leader. Towson State beat Rider 59-56. Towson seeded 7th, and Lehigh seeded 4th. Will play Tuesday night at Towson for the title. The last time the Sixers won a game on the road, you were doing your last-minute Christmas shopping. It was December 23rd at New Jersey. Today, the Sixers snapped the 20-game road losing streak in Indiana, 105-100. Charles Barkley, 29 points, 21 in the first half off the steal, tied it at 50. Sixers down 1 at the half, though, down 4 after 3 quarters, and David Robinson was at the game. Let's go fourth quarter. David Henderson, newest Sixers, hits. Sixers down 85-84. Then Mike Jaminski put the Sixers up, 86-85 up to stay. Gerald Henderson hit a 3. The Sixers were up 89-85 right here. Now, the Sixers were up 6, 29 seconds left. They missed 4 free throws in crunch time. Sixers now up 3, 101-98. John Long hits a 2-pointer to make it 101-100. And then Albert King hit 4 free throws in the final seconds, and the Sixers win 105-100 as Charles Barkley says, yeah, we did it. Boston beats Cleveland 127-98. Lakers beat Dallas. Lakers are here tomorrow night. By the way, the Sixers have 16 of their final 24 games at home this season, and Detroit beats Milwaukee by 10. The Public League high school title game today matched Frankfort and West Philadelphia. West Philly beat Frankfort by 16 during the season, but today, in 4 overtimes, Frankfort wins it 71-64. Frankfort becomes the first public school to win football, soccer, and basketball championships in the same year. What a game. Frankfurt's Jamie Ross tied it at 46 with 28 seconds left at the end of regulation, sends it to the first OT. Then West Philly's Eric Williams drives the length of the court, scores with 6 seconds left, ties it at 49, sending it to a second overtime. Then West Philadelphia's Miklas Kilgore gets the roll, 3-pointer, tied it at 54 to end the second overtime, 8 seconds left. It was 62 all after 3 overtimes. And in the fourth OT, Jason Worley, who had 24 points on the offensive boards, puts Frankfort up 64-62 up to stay, and they win it 71-64. Excited bunch of guys and a happy coach, Vince Miller.
We showed all along who's number 1. We are.
I said they were happy. The Flyers lost to New Jersey today 4-2. The Flyers have lost 3 in a row and have dropped out of first place. Today they played without Talk.
But here comes Eric Williams for West Philly, and guess what? This one is going to overtime. In fact, it went to 4 overtimes yesterday. But Frankfurt's reserves came through, especially Jeff Mack, a big steal right here, gets the basket. They're going to win it 71-64. They go crazy. And the message they say is this, no question about it, we are number 1.
I like laying in third place, and we showed all along who's number 1. We are. Now it proves we number 1. West Philly not number 1. Franklin not number 1. We're number 1. Yeah, number 1.
Devin Foreman says it best. They are number 1. After 4 overtimes, it was unforgettable. What a ball game it was for Frankfort. And, of course, they played it for Vince Miller because his father died about a couple months ago, and they were saying for Vince and for the rest of the team, let's win it for this guy. And with all the trouble he's gone through, let's do it for him. They said, no doubt, no matter how long it took, they were going to win that ball game.
They were determined.
And they did. It was something.
Thanks, Gary. On Wall Street, I'm just adjusting the tie. I forgot how to put one on since I've been away. I had a good time with the Phillies last week. Nice to be back up. Tonight in basketball, down at the Spectrum, the NBA's Golden Goose flies our way just once a year. Tonight, a packed house at the Spectrum will get to see the NBA's reigning dynasty. The Los Angeles Lakers bring as much excitement to the Spectrum tonight as Springsteen will tomorrow. 47 wins and just 10 losses for L.A. and a glittering 9-0 record against the NBA's top 4 challengers in Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and Dallas. And the Lakers took the Mavericks apart in their Texas showdown yesterday. Turned out to be a hoedown with Kareem feeding their leading scorer, Byron Scott.
To me, sometimes it gets embarrassing to be the leading scorer on the team with the all-time great in Kareem. Magic Johnson is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. James Worthy is one of the best forwards in the game. And then you say, well, Byron Scott's leading the team in scoring. It's kind of a funny situation for me.
Scott's now in his 5th year with the Lakers since coming over for Norm Nixon, and he burned the Sixers back in December, a game in which Charles Barkley got tossed out. That can't happen tonight for the Sixers to win. In fact, it'll be darn tough any way you look at it.
They're a great team. There's no doubt about that, and we're going to play very well to beat them.
Who are you going to match up against tonight?
AC Green, he's a very good. They don't have any weak spots on the starting lineup, and if we just go out and play hard and play well, we'll win.
If you're going to slow the Lakers down, make them play a little below what they're capable of, you have to keep them out of the open court. Dallas knows that as well as we do, and they were unable to do that yesterday.
AC Green of the Lakers will join us live in a half hour. Temple holds on to #1 for another week and the entire month of February. They're back in action tomorrow night in the Atlantic 10 tournament. A predictable cruise past Duquesne in their tournament opener yesterday, a day when Mike Griesbach was off, but a day when Tim Perry punched the clock for 16 points. But the key was the Temple hard hat defense. They always punch the clock. And their time card showed 13 steals at the end of the game, 6 by Mark Macon, who fed Howie Evans generously. Evans then gives it back to Macon for the Owl layup, and they were up by 15 at the half, and picks off another to start the second and goes solo. 28 points for the high-flying freshman. Just before the horn blew at the end of another day on the job, Macon again helped Griesbach for 20 points. It was a 20-point Temple win. They're 13th straight, and they're now 27-1. Next up is the winner of St. Joe's Penn State. That game is tonight in Morgantown, West Virginia. Now also tonight, LaSalle plays Fordham for the championship of the MAC Conference. That's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. The Explorers into the finals tonight at the Meadowlands, got there by whipping Holy Cross Saturday with Lionel Simmons pumping in 19 and Timmy Legler arcing 25 through the nets. LaSalle has won every MAC Conference regular and postseason game, and they shoot for their 24th win tonight. And Speedy Morris's first trip to the NCAAs, Yuki Washington, is there, and we'll have a report. But without Tockett, without Howell, without Poulin, and on. And predictably, the Flyers lost, with half their frontliners shelved at Jersey last night. Peter Zezel did play and got control of the puck in the Devil's zone, and he knocked it into their net for a 2-1 Flyer lead in the second period. But that was the last marker for Mike Keenan's club on their way to the third loss. The Devils with a quick 1-2 to tie the game at 2 in the second. And then the game winner in the third period as well, when Perry Anderson goes to Greg Willanen, who powers it home from 50. And a 3-2 Devils lead. 4-2 they won. They have not lost in 6 tries with the Flyers this year. Take a look at the standings. Up next for the Flyers now in second place. The first place Washington Capitals come in here Thursday night at the Spectrum for a head-to-head meeting, which should be interesting. It's that time of the year.
City title in football and soccer earlier. Last night they won their first ever basketball championship, and what an unusual way to do it. Tonight, as Bob Siegel reports, the cheers are still ringing out in Northeast Philadelphia.
Sure, it took the Frankford Pioneers 4 overtime periods. But by the time the buzzer rang and the city's basketball championship had ended, Frankfort High had rewritten the history books.
He kept his word. He came to Frankfort, he said, I'm going to take him to the promised land, and here they are.
In beating West Philadelphia, Frankfort High School becomes Philadelphia's first ever to win city championships in football, soccer, and basketball, all in the same year.
I thought we were going to lose it, then I thought we were going to win it, then I thought we were going to lose it, and when we won, it was the best. It was the best.
Now, if you want to understand why Frankfort High wins so many public championships, you ought to go inside the school and talk with the athletes. They'll tell you they have a pretty good idea what it takes to be successful.
I think that everybody just has a great desire to win, and I think a lot of the coaches, you know, have a great desire to win. And
we're worked hard, you know, but it's pays off, you know. Championship, it shows.
I thought it was great. I mean, for the record books, for everything, no other school has done it. 3 championships consecutive, and hopefully, I'm on the baseball team, hopefully they can do it again.
And you know, they just may do it, because after all, they don't call Frankfort High the Hall of Champions for nothing. Bob Siegel, Channel 10 News.
Still ahead tonight on the Channel 10 News.
Draft pick. Roberts was here for all of 11 games. I also heard the Flyers were on the verge of trading Doug Crossman to the LA Kings and Bill Root to Hartford. Today at practice, the Flyers had Tim Kerr taking his first skate with the team in practice. Kerr is still coming back from a shoulder operation. The question is, when will he play?
I thought he looked great. Skating well. He's got a lot of power in his legs. We did an anaerobic exercise at the conclusion of our practice today, and he was obviously one of the most fit people on the ice. He'll be the one that decides when he's going to be able to play.
The Flyers play an important game against Washington on Thursday night. As the coach said, it's now up to Tim. Listening to Kerr today at practice, you can tell he won't rush back.
I'm not going to put a date on it. It's just going to be when I feel I'm ready, I'll get back in there and play. Felt great. You know, I still say I got a ways to go, and I'm not going to rush it back.
In other words, he's not playing on Thursday. Tonight, 5 games in the NHL, including New Jersey and the New York Rangers. For those pictures, let's go to Madison Square Garden. All you have to see out of this game is one of the better fights of this game. I'm telling you, Petit and Perry Anderson, some absolutely sensational hits. Oh, do you want to know the score? Rangers lead at 6-4 in the third. Other games in the National Hockey League: Detroit over Boston, Quebec over Hartford. Islanders lead Vancouver 6-2 in the third. St. Louis leads Toronto 2-1. That's in the third. In exhibition baseball, Phillies lost to the Texas Rangers 5-4. Shane Rowley and Brad Brink got touched up a little bit on the mound today. All right. Before we get to the high school top 15, Paul, I have to wonder what kind of society we really live in when I hear about the problems in the Camden Atlantic City game. Now, what has happened to the sport of the game? It's sad to think that in a big playoff game, the kids' parents cannot even be permitted to watch their sons. Wonder if those people that caused that problem realize how pathetic this whole situation really is and really sounds. All right, now let's check the #1 team, new #1, in our Daily News Channel 29 Top 15 poll. New #1 this week, Frankfort, after a big what a great game, 4-overtime win against West Philadelphia. West Philly second, Camden, Ben Franklin, Chester, followed by Abington, Atlantic City. You know what I would do? The two teams involved today, and I know the students have to suffer, I would eliminate them from the top 15 if I had a real solid choice in this thing next week. Conestoga, Cherry Hill, North Catholic, followed by Monsignor Bonner, Roman Catholic, Coatesville, Willingboro, and Eastern. There you have it on Super Tuesday.
Have you had a chance to see Loyola Marymount play
tonight? No. Because there are some special stories. Here we go.
From the city, a high five to Frankfort's Jason Worley. We honored his brother just 2 weeks ago. Jason's a 6'4" junior forward who scored 22 points and hauled in 23 rebounds in Frankfort's thrilling championship win over West Philadelphia. Also from Philadelphia, a high five for a third time to Dawn Staley from Dobbins Tech. As her team won the Public League Championship for the third straight year, she had 43 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 steals. To the suburbs now, and Bishop McDevitt Sr., Jenny McGowan. She's a 5'9" point guard who scored a team-high 14 points as the Lancers beat Archbishop Prendergast 63-84. Number 20 in black switches hands, hits the layup. McDevitt won its third straight Catholic title. Now to South Jersey. A high five to Sterling forward Nicole Williams. The 5'11" senior scored 28 points in an 84-24 playoff win over Burlington. Number 13 in white to the middle hits the jumper, and her high school with a sterling 28-0 record. And finally to Delaware, and a high five to Newark senior Jod Ludman. Now listen to this. A 5'11" reserve came off the bench with his team down by 10 points with 90 seconds to go. And Ludman scored 8 of his team points, including the last-second layup as Newark came back to win over Seaford 58-57 in the Delaware State playoffs.
Boy, isn't I think that's the first for the high fives. A guy that came off the bench to earn one, and he sure did.
I'm pleased you showed so many of the fine female ball players.
Boy, they're terrific. And Dawn Staley winding down her career. She's had a great
3 times you've had her up?
3 times, yeah.
All right, thanks,
Great
Lou.
move.
Now